So you guys notice that I put up a message on Slack, but teachers, looking for teachers to teach a particular class. And some of you I messaged privately as well. So what the reason I'm doing that is because I'm actually, this is not for anywhere else. This is actually for critical loyalty. Yes, you'll be the one teaching it, but you're teaching it all. You'll be the one teaching it. I'm just going to look at the product, right? Because I'm just going to look at the product. So I'm just going to like, you'll teach it exactly the same way. That's why I need students to have taken those particular classes with me. If you haven't taken those classes with me, you cannot teach it. That's makes sense, right? I mean, why would you teach it if you haven't taken those classes with me? Because I want you to teach it exactly the way I teach. I want you to teach exactly, and I want you to train students that way. So that's kind of what it is. So I am paying the teachers, as you know, the message was there. So I'm looking for teachers in every single area. Yeah, every single area, including qira'at. So what I'm going to focus on the recitation of the students, and I'm going to be focused on teaching the perspective classes. So I'm going to teach Tajweed 03. I'm going to be teaching the last 3 months of qira'at as well. These are the perspective classes, right? Do you guys understand? The perspective classes. So Tajweed 03 is a perspective class, and qira'at is the last 3 months of it. I'll teach hadith, I'll teach tafsir. Those two courses I'll teach. Even Arabic, I will probably end up teaching the second year, where it's about getting into ulum al-Quran, not ulum al-Quran, like i'rab al-Quran, but I'll like come in and out of those sessions. It'll be like every other week. So when it comes to Arabic, 1 week we do sarf and 1 week we do i'rab. So I'll come in for the i'rab al-Quran session of it, and then kind of like just go through that way. And I'll teach theology as well. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. Even when it comes to nutrition classes, I would focus the nutrition courses on one teacher, and I would teach the classical medicine courses. So that's kind of what I'm doing, is I'm looking for teachers to come in and teach that way. So if you don't feel like you can teach it like me, then don't even bother asking me, because you're just gonna get an answer that's not gonna make you so happy. I'm not gonna, but like, and you guys know my style, right? You guys know my style, what I'm looking for. I mean, I've been teaching for a while, right? So you learn the tricks of the trade, but that's kind of, don't worry about it. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. So that's the direction. Yes, of course, Marhana, you can join. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. That's the type of teachers I'm looking for. So if someone is at that level, just let me know. And obviously, there's a lot of people that send me their resumes. Just kidding. No one sent their resumes. You don't need a resume for this. I know who you are. If I talk to you, I know exactly who you are. I don't care if it's a male teacher or female teacher. It really doesn't matter. I don't discriminate. I don't believe that men have more knowledge than women. Yeah. So. All right, cool. Does that clarify what I'm looking for? Look, every teacher has their own style, and but like, yeah, you probably, because I have more experience than you, so, but you guys can still keep growing, keep building. Yeah, so that we'll deal with. So, but that's why things are changing next semester, because critical loyalty is growing beyond my control. And I can't control everything by doing all the academics and all the reading at the same time. So I'm going to need to like control it, like bring it back and overlook it. So yeah, delegate. Sohaila knows the tricks. She knows Zawad and Sohaila and these. You know, they're like, you know what, we know what you're doing. Anyways, got my text here. So keep that in mind. So that's the reason why I put that post up, to look for teachers. And if you haven't taken Tajweed 1 and Tajweed 2 with me, you probably can't teach it, because there's a certain perspective that I give the students. And that perspective, let me show you that perspective that I give the students. Hold on. This is a perspective that I always focus on, and you guys will understand this, because you've heard it from me like a million kabillion times. This is going to be a Ramadan course that I'm going to be teaching, and it's going to be compulsory on every single student to take. if you want to graduate with me, you're going to have to take the introduction to this course. But like this is what I'm leaning towards right here, and this we're going to be focusing on that. Unfortunately, the ijaza system in the world is gone haywire, and now people have stopped focusing on the thing that they should be focusing on. So we're going to bring people back to focus on the things that you should be focusing on. Fair enough? Of course it's fair enough. We want to revive and go back to what the Prophet ﷺ did. Where is it? Yeah, this section here. ينبغي لطالب القرآن أن يتعلم أحكام القرآن فيفهم عن الله ما فرض عليه ويلقن عنه ما خاطبه به فينتفع بما يقرأ ويعمل بما يتلو وأن يتعلم الناسخ والمنسوخ فيعلم ما فرض عليه مما لم يفرض عليه وما سقط العمل به مما العمل به واجب وأن يتعلم الفرائض والأحكام فما أقبح حامل القرآن أن يتلو فرائضه وأحكامه عن ظهر قلب وهو لا يعلم ما يتلو فكيف يعمل بما لا يفهم معناه وما أقبح به أن يسأل عن فقه ما يتلو فلا يدري فما من هذه حالته إلا كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا. Who understood this? One, if you understood what he's saying here, I'm not going to translate it. You guys get it on your own. You understood this. Isn't it interesting? He says, كَمَثَلِ الْحِمَارِ يَحْمِلُ أَسْفَارًا. Yeah. If you understood this, this is what we want to focus. I want to get people to go back to this. And this is very interesting. If you go to the section right before this, look what Hassan Basri says. Look what Hassan Basri says. وَقَالَ الْحَسَنُ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ أولى الناس بهذا القرآن من اتبعه وإن كان لا يقرأه وإن أشقى الناس بهذا القرآن من حفظه ولم يعمل بما فيه ولذلك قال أبو موسى الأشعري رضي الله عنه اتبعوا القرآن ولا يتبعكم القرآن. Now keep in mind, what book is this? This is a book of Tajweed. It's a book of Tajweed. And in the beginning, in the first section of the book of Tajweed, this is a ri'ayah. This is a codification book. This is a classical text, an original text. So, in a ri'ayah, in the book of Tajweed, the first section of the text, what does he tell you? He's he's basically telling you that do this first before you get into Tajweed, right? And that's what we want to go back and bring that back into the world. Talk about that as well. Anyways, all of you guys are here. And we went through a whole bunch of months of going through Faridatul Dahar, looking at it. And we broke this course up into 3 parts so far. The intro, 7 sessions. And then after that, we talked about the rules, 7 sessions. Isn't that what we've covered so far? Intro, 7 sessions. The rule, 7 sessions. 7 equals 14. 14 equals a full moon. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't do that. I just did it to 7 sessions. It's something cool. By that time, we had a full moon. Anyways, after that, we had about 4-ish months of reading. This was besides the fraud reading that you guys were doing in the beginning. So now we're going to go back to 1 or 2 months of reading along with theory. Theory you're already going to know, right? The theory you're already going to know, but we're going to go through a lot of tahrirat in this. So we're going to go through individual tahrirat, each one of these different tahrirs, which will cover 99. Like you're going to understand something interesting. When we go through the tahrirs that are there within the first juz, keep that in mind. When we go to the tahrirs that are there within the first juz, every single tahrir in the first juz, when we cover the tahrir in the first juz, you will cover 100% of the tahrirs. You'll gain the perspective of this. In other words, you'll be able to read anywhere in the Quran and you'll be able to read in Kubra sughra, kubra, whatever percent of all the tahrirs in the whole Quran here. The only differences you're going to find is different combinations. And combinations show up all the time. I'll try to cover as many combinations as I can, but besides that, what else can we do? All right, we good? Does this make sense? And that's what's going to happen now. There's no reading today, and next week there's no class at all. I have an emergency, so I need to attend to that, but there is no class at all next week in any way, shape, or form. So keep this in mind. So me looking for teachers, like I said, I will probably be looking for teachers here. Looking for teachers here. And then these last few months of tahrirs, I'm going to be the one teaching this. So if you're looking over here as well, and looking for teachers, intro 7 sessions as well. So if anyone feels like they know this stuff really well, you guys can apply for these 2 positions if you want. It really doesn't matter. And also for the reading, I'll probably split it with myself and a few other people. But again, like I said, critical loyalty is growing beyond my capacity, so I'm going to need to step back from teaching beginner courses now. I hope you guys understand. You guys are like, we did it with you. Stinks for all the students coming after, but whatever. Oh well. Let's talk a little bit about tahrirs right now. So this next theory stuff is going to be interesting. They're not going to miss out because they're going to get me at the end. The word tahrir in Arabic means tambih, to make someone aware, to wake you up, to kind of like, this is what tahrir means, tambih. It also means to note something down, write a note. Or, you guys know in Faridat al-Dahr it says, walahidh, mulahadha. Yeah, I see that all the time, right? Walahidh, mulahadha. Yeah. I don't think anyone saw it. Okay, cool. It's there. It says lahidh. You guys all asked me, what does that mean? La hidh, la hadha, no place. What? La hidh, mulahadha, lihad. Yeah, there you go. Keep in mind. So this is what a tahrir is. And normally in Fariyat al-Dahr, after lahid, he'll just be like, keep this part in mind. It's already being recorded. Yes. Keep this part in mind. And the purpose behind tahrirs, the purpose behind these tahrir is, at least within the qira'at, is that you don't mix variant readings that come from different books, and you don't mix things up. The objective behind this is you don't do qira'ah ma lam yanzil. Don't do any reading that wasn't revealed, or don't do any mistakes that way. Let me give you an example. Is this recitation right? What's the example that my teacher said? This is the example my teacher said. مثلهم كمثل الذي استوقد نارا فلما أضاءت. Yes or no? You guys can find probably like 3 mistakes in there, straight up. No one does. There you go. No one does tul and meme sila. What was the other mistake? No one does tul on jump. What was the other mistake? Come on. No tul where? You're right. Oh, you said don't do tul? Is that what you're trying to say? Listen again. مثلهم كمثل الذي استوقد نارا فلما أضاءت. What's the other mistake? Come on. I gave you guys this tip. If you want to know how good someone is in qira'at, thank you. Look at their mud. Look at their muds. Their muds is going to differentiate how good they are in their qira'at. Exactly. The mad muttasil. No one. Why in the world would anyone do tul on mad munfasil and tawassul on mad muttasil? There you go. So I'm going to explain this to you in a language that every one of you will understand here. How many of you do fiqh? What a question. I had to say it. How many of you do fiqh? How many of you fiqh? How many of you do stuff like fiqh stuff, like I follow, I pray? You guys don't do fiqh? Really? You don't pray? Like, okay. How many of you guys understand schools of thought, madhabs, Some people, Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali, this and that. Oh, you guys understand? I never said you guys like, you guys not like. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, perfect, good. Anwar, you know exactly the trap you're heading into because this is the cool part. You guys all understand madhahib, schools of thought, and that. So when it comes to madhahib and schools of thought, is it, okay, first question, is it permissible for someone for Dhuhr Salah, they do, from a strictly madhahib point of view, actually not madhahib, let's just take a normal point of view. Let me think of an example here. I am thinking of an example here that you do something at one time and the same scenario, another time you just don't do it. Okay, is it permissible for your first daughter, I'm going to come up with the most crazy examples so that you guys are going to get it. For your first daughter, you made sure that you were her wali for her wedding, for her nikah. But the second daughter, you're like, go get married on your own. You don't need a wali. Is that cool? I had to come up with the most extreme example. I had no choice. No, So you see there's a little bit of a discrepancy, right? In other words, for the first, there's a little bit of a discrepancy, isn't it? In other words, for one you applied the rule, and for another you applied another rule. Let me give you an example. Is it permissible in the first rak'ah of your salah you did raf'ul yadayn, you raised your hands before going in ruku, and the second rak'ah you didn't even tie your hands, you just left it on the side. So the first rak'ah, no, never mind, sorry. In the first rak'ah, you're praying Dhuhr Salah. The first rak'ah, you tied your hands, and then second rak'ah, you left them down. Third rak'ah, tie your hands. Fourth rak'ah, you left them down. Can you do that? Yes or no? In regular, your Islam. In your Islam. Can you do that? No. Why not? Okay, being uniform. This is good. You guys understand it. Okay. Is it permissible for you to pray Dhuhr Salah by doing Raf'ul Yadayn, and then Asr Salah not doing Raf'ul Yadayn? You're like, there's two narrations, I'll do both. Is that permissible for you? Not in one Salah, but two different Salahs. Dhuhr, you done Raf'ul Yadayn. Asr, you didn't do Raf'ul Yadayn. Okay, someone who hardcore follows a madhab here. Who here follows a madhab? Very hardcore. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't judge people for whether they do or not. Okay, hina and tayyab. Okay, good. So tayyab, is it permissible for you to do Raf'ul Yadayn in your Dhuhr and not in your Asr? Like change it up, madhahib wise, can you do it or no? From someone who follows the madhab, you can't do that, right? You shouldn't. You can't do that at all, even though you have, you may have evidences this way or that way. It doesn't matter. You stick to following, and that's kind of equivalent to how tahrirs work. So that's how tahrirs work. You got to understand it from that point of view. What's the reference here? Well, the reference over here is very simple. If what the madhahib will tell you, or people who follow a school of thought, what they're going to tell you is the following. Well, if the Prophet ﷺ did it a particular way, hold on one second here. Someone, let me just reply to this message. Hold on. Yep. 1 p.m. MST. There you go. So if the Prophet ﷺ did something in a particular way, or let's just say there's two narrations. There's narration that the Prophet did Raf'ul Yadayn, and there's also narration that the Prophet did not do Raf'ul Yadayn. Correct? There's both types of narrations, yes or no? And some narrations that says the Prophet did it, he raised his hand. Some narration that he didn't do it. So it's both types of narrations. Why do you guys find it an issue that the first rak'ah you did it, second rak'ah you didn't do it? Everyone said no, not allowed. And the third rak'ah, you're literally still following the hadith of the Prophet, right? But you guys still found it an issue because people said, don't do it. But some of you didn't actually follow. Is there a narration but there's no narration that it wasn't mixed? Does that make sense, Tayyab? You get the point though? You understand the point I'm trying to say. There's no narration if there's no narration, we can't really say that it's not allowed. Again, this is not a class of fiqh. I'm trying to teach you guys how tahrir works. But no one does it that way. Oh well, so what? And no one eats the way I eat. No one eats the food I eat. Oh well. So that's the point. But then many of you are okay. You're like, it's permissible to do it if in the first rak'ah, I mean, the Dhuhr you did it, Asr you didn't do it. So when it comes to madhahib, or following schools of thought, they're very strict. It doesn't matter how many prayers you're praying, you're not allowed to do Raful Yadain, correct? Strict madhahib. Or doesn't matter how many prayers you're doing, you're not allowed to not do Raful Yadain. You're going to have to do it. If you're following a madhab, you have to strictly follow the madhab. So there's been a huge, not war, but there's been a huge uproar among the people who didn't want to follow madhab, who didn't want to follow madhab. They're like, no, we don't want to follow madhab or this and that, which is cool. Do what you need to do. You want to follow madhab, good. You don't want to follow madhab, whatever, good for you. Knock yourself out, really doesn't matter. But when it comes to Quranic recitation, this is where you have Asim's reading or Hafs, Shu'ba, these different reading, they're equivalent to like madhahib. So the way you understand fiqh, understand it this way. They're equivalent to madhahib. But because this is directly connected to the Quran, when you understand the history, you'll understand why they were so strict about not getting people to do things differently. Same thing happened with fiqh. That when it came to when you advanced into different schools of thought, or when he started bringing when he started bringing different specialties into the religion, then the scholars needed to stand up and say, well, you need to stop doing that because you're distorting it. So therefore, the rules were created. And these rules were created by the classical scholars based on how they heard their teachers read. So like I showed you guys from An-Nashr, they're like, okay, stretch tawassut 2, or stretch tawassut 2.5, or stretch tawassut 3. Someone heard it 3, someone heard it 4. And they all portrayed them and they all wrote them down in books. So following a madhab is actually, let's just say someone follows the Hanafi madhab. Are they following Imam Abu Hanifa? Yes or no? If someone follows the Hanafi madhab, are they following Imam Abu Hanifa? Yes or no? It's interesting. All of you are saying no. That's so cool, isn't it? It's true. You're not following Imam Abu Hanifa when you're following the Hanafi madhab. Imam Abu Hanifa's opinions of the Hanafi madhab, it's actually not, like, most of the masail are not from Abu Hanifa himself. But it's a system that was created, right? You guys get it? If someone's following the Shafi'i madhab, are they following Imam Shafi'i himself? Probably not. So the codification happens later on, and then you associate it with a particular scholar. So now you have students, or you have people that learn from such an individual, and then they're gonna reflect their learning, and they're gonna go back and they're gonna reflect it on the person who they learned it from. When it comes to tahrir, the objective behind tahrir is making sure that you're not mixing up between madhahib. Is that clear to everyone? When I give you guys the fiqh references, it makes sense. Tahrir means you're not mixing up between madhahib. In other words, tahrir and fiqh would be part of your salah, you read it in Hanafi, and the other half of it, you read it in Shafi'i. That's equivalent to saying, مَثَلُهُمُ كَمَثَلِ الَّذِي اسْتَوْقَدَ نَارًا فَلَمَّا أَضَاءَتْ. You guys understand? That's the equivalency of tahrir. And I know fiqh, everyone holds it super personal, so that's why I'm going to use examples of fiqh. And I'm going to use these examples of fiqh all the way till August, so that you guys can personalize it more. You guys get it? You guys all understand? So from a fiqh point of view, are you allowed to not follow a school of thought in fiqh? Some say yes, some say no. Are you allowed to mix between Imam Shu'ba and Imam Hafs and this different readings? No. But you guys see the discrepancy there, right? You guys understand the difference there? Like, why this there, why that there? Well, on the other hand, variant readings of the Quran later on were associated with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Earlier on, they were not. So, for example, Rayhana studied from someone who studied from someone who studied from the Prophet. So is Rayhana connected to the Prophet through teacher-student type of a scenario? Yes or no? Of course she is directly connected. But is Rayhana, the concept of connection, Is Rehana going to be teaching exactly the same way that her teacher taught her? Probably not. Everyone's different. You add your own twist to it. You add this, you add that. You try to stay close to the system, but you can, but everyone has their own style. That's why if someone's teaching Tajweed 1, they're not going to teach like me at all. It'll be very weird if someone taught like me. I would be like, please go away. Don't teach like me. You're creeping me out. Get it? Teach like your own way. That's kind of what you want. So that's the point here. Everyone has their own, but they do justice to the original system. The variant readings of the Quran is a very interesting system. Like I said, when it comes to qira'at, where do the qira'at originate from? Come on, baby language. Where do the qira'at, thank you, they originate from books. Same thing, let's try this one again. When it comes to fiqh, where do fiqh originate from? Baby language. Books, perfect. When it comes to hadith, where do the hadith originate from? Baby language. Perfect, good. See, now you guys are learning some perspective here. They all originate from books. How did the Prophet ﷺ recite? Oh, big question. Well, same question you can ask for fiqh. How did the Prophet ﷺ pray? You guys get the point now? That's the point that I'm trying to make. How did the Prophet recite? Well, how did the Prophet, the way it was revealed? Sure. How was that? You know? So again, let me repeat this. Let me give you a little summary here. Tahrir in qira'at is equivalent to, or the variant readings is equivalent to what? The variant readings are equivalent to what? Fiqh. The variant readings, let me write this down for you guys, okay? So qira'at, ikhtilaf, qira'at are equivalent to ikhtilaf in ahkam. So far, so good? It's the same thing. The way qira'at has madhahib, ahkam also has madhahib. So ikhtilaf na qira'at, ikhtilaf of huruf. Huruf means readings of the Quran or words in the Quran. The way the huruf, that's the term for it. Okay, you guys understand? Ahkam also has madhahib. The science of huruf is called qira'at, and the science of ahkam is called fiqh. When it came to qira'at, there was 10 readings, 10 qira'at, and 10 qurra. It's actually 7, but you know, let's just put 7, 10. Qurra. When it came to fiqh, there was the 7 or 10 qurra and others who are shadh. Shadh means they're not common, right? You have a reading of Hassan Basri, etc. When it came to, when it came to fiqh, there are 4 and others that are shadh. You guys get the point now? You guys all understand? It's the same progression. There's no difference to it. This is how it works. Qira'at originates from what? Books. Fiqh, actually, we'll write down huruf here. Originate from books. And fiqh, ahkam, also originate from books. In order for you to become a mufti, in order for you to become a master of huruf, you have to study all the books on the topic. And a good reference point is Farida. Nashr. So far, so good? In order for you to write a fatwa, what do? You reference other books and copy from there. That's why if someone says, that's why if you soapy from there, soapy, copy from there. That's why you can understand the same. How many of you have never ever understood the minds? How many? Okay, first of all, how many of you over here are like, we got follow one madhab in fiqh? Come on, one, just one. Don't click two. Who says follow one madhab in fiqh? Perfect. You guys follow one madhab in fiqh. Perfect. Good. And how many of you now? I'm going to put 3 dots over here. Good. How many of you say you can follow as many? Oops, sorry, I just messaged Marhana. Let me just message everyone. How many of you over here say you're allowed to follow as many? Just kind of pick and choose. Madhab and fiqh. You can just do this sometimes, do that sometimes. Just one. If you think you can just choose, choose one. Come on. Follow stronger opinions. So how many of you? Hashtag confused. Just kidding, Samir. I'm just messing with you. So anyways, okay, perfect, good. So you guys understand about following one versus following many. So now, how many of you, come on, I'm just 46 students in the class. How many of you over here, I'm going to repeat the question again because some of you are writing 2. I don't know what 2 means. Just only the ones who say that you're allowed to follow multiple madhahib, click 1. That's it. For awam. For awam. Samir's going to be like, oh, ulama, I don't care about ulama right now. We could do it for awam. Okay, perfect, good. Multiple, okay, good, excellent, good. So now, how many of you over here are very strict on your opinion? Like, no, we have to follow one madhab versus we have to not follow. Perfect. So it depends. Perfect. Good. Now, Samir, you've studied a lot. MashaAllah, so much. And there's a few scholars in this class. I'm not going to call up. I mean, dude, I'm comparing it to like everyone else, man. I'm comparing it to like the uncles in the mashallah. Yeah, okay, cool. You get the point. So now there's a lot of scholars in this class. So so what I'm going to ask you as a question: isn't it weird? Not weird. Isn't it? Don't you guys all understand? Not the scholars, but everyone. Isn't it hard for you guys to actually not hard, but when something is stuck in your head and you really understand it in your head and you really have it down packed in your head, isn't it weird how other people can't really understand it? For example, let me explain what I'm trying to say here. If someone follows a madhab, for those of you who don't follow a madhab, isn't it hard for you to understand why they don't believe that you're allowed to not follow a madhab or why you have to follow a madhab? That's what I'm trying to say. I'll give you an example here. Yeah. So for example, let's just say, I'll give you a Furqan doesn't follow a madhab. Furqan's like, dude, pick and choose all you want. And Mu'adh says, no, don't pick and choose. Isn't Mu'adh thinking, how come Furqan doesn't understand what I'm trying to say? And Mu'adh is like, how come Furqan doesn't understand what I'm trying to say? Isn't that the case? All the time. It's the reason why. Perfect. Good. As long as you get that point. The other side just doesn't get it. Like, no, so for example, someone who follows a madhab all the time, and they're like, you have to follow a madhab. The other side, they're just like, but you can literally do anything you want. Allah's given us a menu. Choose this, do that. The Prophet said this, sometimes that. You can choose anything you want. How come Samir doesn't understand what I'm trying to say? I'm using Samir as an example, but let's say he's a hardcore follower of madhab. You guys understand? You guys get that point? Similarly, someone who follows a madhab, you're just like, you don't understand. You're literally following your desires. How come they don't get it? You guys see there's a rift, there's a difference between the two. One side is like, how come they're not understanding? And the other side is, how come they're not understanding? Is that completely clear? Okay, perfect, good. Now look at what I wrote on the whiteboard. If you look at what I wrote on a whiteboard, this is very interesting because when it comes to variant readings of the Quran, aren't all of you like, you have to follow one way? Isn't it true? That's how you guys were trained. You have to follow one way. So that's how you understand following a madhab. How many of you don't, over here in class, are like, you don't need to follow a madhab again? I'm looking at the chat. Just click 1 if you think that you don't need to follow a madhab. Quickly, let's go ahead. The non-madhab people. Fayyad, Amina, Rayhana. Okay, perfect. Now do you guys understand what it means to follow a madhab? Look at the variant readings of the Quran. Do you guys get it now? And you guys understand why it's wrong not to follow a madhab from a variant reading point of view? Because all of you would be the ones correcting your own students when it came to someone who's just automatically did tul where they're supposed to do qasr. You guys get the point now? Does this clear? Make sense? You're like, we don't follow a madhab, but when it comes to this, you guys are hardcore following a madhab. Good. I'm going to show you guys something now. Whoops. Is it here? Let's see if I have it here. This is the most original text, the earliest text on variant readings of the Quran. This is the first book ever written on the variant readings of the Quran. Okay. All right. This is written by Abu Bakr bin Mujahid. Ibn Mujahid was actually he was government appointed. Yeah. Look at the first line, first word, what he says. First line, first word. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is the beginning of the book, okay? Oops. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. First line, first page, yes? That's the beginning of the book. Let's move ahead. حدثنا أبو عبد الله أحمد بن محمد بن إبراهيم بن أبزون الأنباري المقري قال أخبرنا أبو بكر أحمد بن موسى بن عباس بن مجاهد رحمة الله عليه قال اختلف الناس في القراءة كما اختلفوا في الأحكام. This is the classical approach. I wanted to bring it up slowly. This is the classical approach. This is how original scholars viewed the variant readings of the Quran. There's difference in qira'at the way there's a difference in ahkam. And for every single, quick question here, let's change the word here. Let's change the words over here. People who follow one madhab, do you believe that for every opinion that you follow, you have evidences from the Sahaba and the Tabi'een, etc.? Yes or no? No, you guys said you don't follow a madhab. People who follow madhahib, Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali, whatever you follow, do you believe that your madhab for every ruling has evidences from the Sahaba and the Tabi'een? Yes or no? Man, you guys are bad madhabis. Come on, even ta'weel, I don't care. Ta'weel it. Do you guys have madhab? Jurisdiction, sure. Okay, perfect, good. You guys have something, some sort of evidence to back it up, right? But isn't it true every madhabi believes that they have evidences? Yes? We have a hadith for it. Okay, perfect. Let's read ahead. ورويت الآثار بالاختلاف عن الصحابة والتابعين توسعة ورحمة للمسلمين. You have evidences of these ikhtilafat from the Sahaba and the Tabi'een regarding ahkam. You guys get the point? وَبَعْدُ ذَلِكَ قَرِيبٌ مِّن بَعْدٍ, and some are closer than others. Is that cool? You guys understand? He's actually not talking about madhahib here, ahkam here. He's talking about variant readings of the Quran. I switched it to madhahib. Very interesting to show you guys the parallel between the two. وَرُوِيَتِ الْآثَارِ, for the variant readings with the ikhtilaf from the Sahaba and the Tabi'een, there's a lot of it. And it's a mercy for the believers. وَبَعْدُ ذَلِكَ قَرِيبٌ مِّن بَعْدٍ, some are closer than the others. Let's change back to fiqh. وَحَمَلَةُ الْقُرْآنِ, we're going to change this to fuqaha. مُتَفَاضِلُونَ فِي حَمْلِهِ, and the fuqaha are all different levels. Isn't that true? وَلِنَقَلَةِ الْحُرُوفِ نَقَلَةُ الْحُرُوفِ over here. نَقَلَةُ الْحُرُوفِ means those who transfer the huruf, meaning the qira'at. Over here we can translate huruf to fiqh. The ones who transfer the fiqh. مَنَازِلٌ فِي نَقْلِ حُرُوفِهِ. They all have different levels. وَأَنَا ذَاكِرٌ مَنَازِلُهُم وَدَالٌ عَلَى الْأَئِمَّةِ مِنْهُمْ. I'm going to talk about their levels, and I'm also going to talk about the different imams that came within them. وَمُخْبِرٌ عَنِ الْقِرَاءَةِ التي عليها الناس بالحجاز والعراق والشام. I'm going to tell you about the ahkam, I'm changing the words here, that are there within the people in Hijaz and Iraq and Sham. You have Malik and Abu Hanifa and different people. وشارح مذاهب أهل القراءة مبين اختلافهم واتفاقهم إن شاء الله تعالى. I'm trying to show you the parallel. I'm changing the words Quran and Hamalatul Quran to fuqaha over here. And you guys can see that this is exactly how fiqh, inception of fiqh is exactly the same way. You guys get the point? Normally what happens in the beginning, you see that there's room to change. You're like, you can change this, you can do this, you can do that. It's completely fine. But Abu Bakr bin Mujahid comes up and he basically says, we have an issue here. And what's the issue that he's talking about here? He says, first of all, you have people who don't know the variant sciences. You have people who think they know fiqh, but they haven't studied Arabic. Who think they know fiqh, but they haven't studied, they don't know all of the different madhahib. In other words, someone's like, I'm a master of Hanafi, did not study Shafi'i and Maliki and Hanbali. Or someone who says, well, we're a master of Shafi'i fiqh, but did not study Hanafi and Maliki and Hanbali. Hanafi and Maliki did not study the variant schools of thought. And did not study Arabic either. Now I can keep on building parallels if you want, but he comes up with 4 types of people. The first type of person is that person, فَمِنْ حَمَلَةِ الْقُرْآنِ الْمُعْرِبِ. Someone who knows i'rab, someone who knows grammar. بِوُجُوهِ الْإِعْرَابِ وَالْقِرَاءَات. This would be equivalent to usul. Someone who knows usul al-fiqh. Someone also يُبْصِرُ الْمَعَانِ. Someone who knows fiqh. So someone who knows usul al-fiqh, someone who knows fiqh, and someone who knows the variant fiqhs. Let's draw this out again for you guys. From Hamalatul Quran, we're going to draw this out again. Hamalatul fiqh, Hamalatul Quran, we're going to refer to them as Qurra. But I'm going to draw 4 different parallels here. Actually, we're going to draw this as fiqh. Fuqaha. There's 4 types of fuqaha, levels of fuqaha. Number 1, knows usul. Knows usul al-fiqh. Knows يبصر بالعربية. Knows their own fiqh flawlessly. Is it 2 S's? I don't know, correct me. And knows the variant ikhtilaf in all different madhahib. Okay? This is best. People are scared of such a faqih. Am I right or wrong? Yafza'u. Perfect. Moving ahead. Number 2, I'm just going to copy paste this. Boom. Copy, paste. Knows usulul fiqh. Actually, no. Number 2. Knows their own fiqh flawlessly. And that's it. This is equivalent to a person who is just doing what they learned or grew up with. Right or wrong? Number 3, again, I'm going to copy. Does not know usul al-fiqh, does not know their own fiqh, does not know anything. This is basically just a person who follows what they learned. Okay, here. Knows their own fiqh flawlessly, and that's it. Actually, hold on. Just follows what they learned. That's it. Just follows what they learned. Doesn't really, doesn't really know exactly. It's kind of don't even have the books of fiqh to reference. Doesn't really know all the fiqh in their madhab. That's kind of this kind of. They follow what they're told. Yeah, exactly. This is known as a puppet. Puppet. Okay. This is basically a scholar nowadays. Number 4. Knows usul al-fiqh. This is an innovator. People who studied fiqh. That's awesome. Oh man. Yep. Okay. For those of you who studied fiqh in detail, are these the 4 different categories? This is called manazil al-fuqaha. There's an innovator. All you know is usul, you haven't studied fiqh. So now based on usul, you come up with your own ideas, you come up with this and come up with that, you make up all kinds of stuff. This is known as a bid'ati. Can you guys understand this? Yes or no? Whoever studied fiqh, you guys see this on a regular basis. Perfect. But is it hard to find number 1? Okay, perfect. Now we're going to talk about qurra. I'm just going to copy this again, change it up. Knows i'rab, basically grammar. We don't need this. Yeah, knows Arabic. Knows Arabic. Tarabic. God. Knows the variant readings in all the different cities. Oh, just variant readings. Knows all the variant readings. Perfect. Best. Now I'm going to copy this. Copy. I'm going to go here, write 2. Obviously, I copied the 1. I don't know why. Knows Arabic. We refer to this as an Arab Hafiz. Arab Hafiz, reading in their own language. Number 3. Obviously this 1's going to transfer down because I was weird not to do it. Doesn't know anything, just memorized it. Just memorized, no Arabic, no nothing. And we refer to this as a regular hip student. Everywhere. We refer to them as puppets. Now, number 4, knows Arab, and like that's it. This is an innovator. Because they'd be like, well, grammatically speaking, it's technically allowed to read it that way. I mean, you know what I'm saying. Now, this is stuff that we've covered in Khaqaniya, didn't we? Well, that's the thing, right? What about splitting 1 into people who know Kubra, Shad, and people who just know Sughra? No. because there's no such thing as sughra. Sughra came later on. That's why I can't do it, right? We got to look at it from an overview. Okay, cool. Is this completely clear? Perfect. You guys can copy all this stuff down if you guys want. Now we're going to go to Abu Bakr bin Mujahid's text, and we're going to say, he's going to say exactly the same thing. His pretext, his hypothesis is right here. اختلف الناس في القراءة كما اختلفوا في الأحكام. And then he talks about all of this. He says, فَمِنْ حَمَلَةِ الْقُرْآنِ الْمُعْرِبُ الْعَالِمُ بِوُجُوهِ الْإِعْرَابِ وَالْقِرَاءَاتِ الْعَارِفُ بِاللُّغَاتِ وَمَعَانِي الْكَلَامِ الْبَصِيرُ بِعَيْبِ الْقِرَاءَاتِ, etc. He's talking about the 4 types. This is number 1. This is number 2. فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يُؤَدِّي مَا سَمِعَهُ. This person just follows. They have no knowledge except for what they have learned. Okay, so this is number 1, the person who has all of it. This is number 2. Man yu'rib wala yalhan, a person who's reading in Arabic. In other words, someone who knows the madhahib, someone who not madhahib, someone who knows their fiqh. Like I studied Hanafi fiqh, and that's all kind of I know. Just took a course in fiqh and studied that fiqh, and it feels like I'm everything. You're basically just like a Bedouin who's just following your madhab, and you just understand the details of your own madhab. That's all you have. You have nothing more. وَلَا عِلْمَ لَهُ بِغَيْرِ ذَلِكَ. You got no other knowledge. It's like a Bedouin. Number 3, that person who just knows what to do. That's all. They have no other knowledge. Over here, he's talking about someone who memorized the Quran, doesn't even know Arabic. لَا يَعْرِفُ الْإِعْرَابِ وَلَا غَيْرُهُ. Doesn't know grammar, doesn't know nothing. فَذَلِكَ الْحَافِظ. This is a regular hafiz. You know, after a long time, if they live a long life, they're going to فَيُضَيِّعُ الْإِعْرَابِ. They're going to make mistakes in haraka because of tashabuh, because, oh, it sounds the same. It's a fatha kasra. I don't know what it is. Is it kabirun or kabirin? I don't know. وَفَتْحِهِ وَضَمِّهِ وَكَسْرِهِ, etc. لأنه لا يعتمد على علم بالعربية ولا به بصر بالمعاني. He has no reference point. It's like a typical hafiz of graduates. That's why they're making mistakes. Last one here. فمنهم من يعرب قراءته ويبصر المعاني ويعرف اللغات ولا علم له بالقراءات واختلاف الناس بالآثار. This is a scholar who knows usul, knows his fiqh and knows usul, and that's basically about it. This is someone equivalent, someone who studies Shafi'i fiqh and Shafi'i usul, and that's it. Doesn't know any of the other variants at all. فيكون بذلك مبتدع. This is a mubtadi'. وَقَدْ رُوِيَتْ فِي كَرَاهَةِ ذَلِكَ. His narration.com. That's his hypothesis here. And let's go to the last section over here. The last paragraph. That was the first paragraph. We're going to go to the last paragraph so you guys understand where he's coming from. Basically, this is how I want you guys to understand the depth behind tahrirat. What is a tahrir? A tahrir is basically this. The books of qira'at are actually books of tahrir. They're basically a way to get people to do what you need to do and don't break the system. And so what do you do after coming up with your own hypothesis, after coming up with this whole manazil al-qurra and manazil al-fuqaha? Then you talk about who these fuqaha and qurra are, so you can get their references. Like, see, these people were awesome, they did this and they did that, and they studied from these people, so you create a nice picture for them. And then after that, you finish off by saying the following. Where is it? End of the section here. Abu Amr ibn Amir Sham. There you go. So he mentions 7 qurra. So after that, the best thing to do is talk about who the qurra were, meaning who the fuqaha are. You have a biography of Abu Hanifa there and his students, and you'll have a biography of Shafi'i and the students, and you'll have the biography of Malik and their students, and you're going to have a biography of Ahmad bin Hanbal and the students, right? And you're going to talk about different people that Abu Hanifa studied under, and different people that Shafi'i studied under, and Malik studied under, and Ahmad bin Hanbal studied under. They all studied from somewhere. So when you talk about all of that, then it creates legitimacy about who these people were, right or wrong. With narrations, this is what this person said about Abu Hanifa, and that's what that person said. You create a legitimacy. And after that, the last paragraph of your section, Dhikrul Asanid, the last paragraph, you write down the following. فَهَؤُلَاءِ سَبْعَةُ نَفَرٍ مِّنْ أَهْلِ الْحِجَازِ وَالْعِرَاقِ وَالشَّامِ. So these are the 7 people from Hijaz, Iraq, and Sham. Or you can say these are the 4 fuqaha from Hijaz, Iraq, and Sham. خَلَفُوا فِي الْقِرَاءَةِ التَّابِعِينَ.
They followed the tabi'in, and they came after the tabi'in. So they came after the tabi'in. You can say this about the fuqaha as well. Yes, they came after the tabi'in. وأجمعت على قراءتهم العوام من أهل كل عصر من هذه الأمثال الذي سميت وغيرها من البلدان التي تقرب من هذه الأمصار. And all of the people have agreed upon following أجمعت على قراءتهم, following their system, their ahkam, or their madhab, or their readings in this case, from all of the cities that I just talked about and the cities in their vicinity, all the Muslim cities. إلا أن يستحسن رجل لنفسه حرفا شاذ. However, there may be some scholars who may choose a side opinion that's different from the original opinion, or a different reading that's different from any one of these 4 or 7 readings we're talking about. فيقرأ به, person recites according to it, من الحروف الذي رويت عن بعض الأوائل منفردة, who this person may be narrating from some sahabi or some tabi'in. فذلك غير داخل في قراءة العوام. However, we're not going to consider this to be the readings of the people. There can be a reading of a particular person, but this is not how the people recite. In other words, if someone just takes a random fiqhi madhab or fiqhi opinion, that's completely fine. It's good for you. But we're not going to say that this person is doing what the people are doing. Does that make sense? ولا ينبغي لذي لب أن يتجاوز ما مضت عليه الأئمة والسلف. It's not appropriate for someone who's an intellectual to cross or to go beyond that which was mentioned by the imams and the scholars. بوجوه يراه جائز في العربية, with something that follows the usul. Oh, this is according to the usul, this is how it should be. It's not permissible someone just follow the usul and come up with something. Oh, مما قرأ به قارئ, or to follow one opinion, meaning, or to do one particular recitation, غير مجمع عليه, that which the people didn't do. So this is a nice little paragraph over here. You guys understand how, for those of you who don't follow a madhab, you're like, ooh, look at this. This is a way to get people to follow madhab. You say stuff like this. Remember, right or wrong? I have to build this contrast for you guys. Isn't this a nice way to get people to follow madhab right here? You follow the system. You say there's manazil, and then after that you come up and you give their biographies, and then you finish off with this. You're like, we don't do this. The people aren't doing this. Look at what everyone is doing. You guys all understand, yes or no? It's 48 students in the class. I'll make sure you guys got this. Good, perfect, good. When it comes to madhab, you guys can see this. Oh, excellent, good job. Now, when it comes to qira'at, does this completely make sense? You're like, yes, clearly we agree with this when it comes to qira'at. And that's the contrast that I want you guys to know. Clear contrast what I want you guys to know. How it works out. Do you guys all understand that when it comes to the variant readings, you guys have one different mindset, and when it comes to ahkam, you have a completely different mindset? Yes? It's like different glass. You go to wear different. No, how can it be? But then you also understand that according to the classical scholars, ahkam and qira'at were exactly the same. Like he talks about, اختلف الناس في القراءة كما اختلفوا في الأحكام, or اختلف الناس في الحروف كما اختلفوا في الأحكام. And that's the hypothesis, and that's where you start off with. When you start off with that point, then you're going to start to understand. So the ones who say follow one madhab and follow one reading, they're completely on board. They're like, we get it. Isn't it true? The ones who say follow one madhab and follow one reading, we get the point. It makes sense. But the ones who say, you can follow any opinion that you want from various madhahib, but when it comes to qira'at, you have to follow one. You guys realize that's a circular argument now, right? Actually, not even circular, that's a paradox. It's a traditional paradox. It's actually not a classical paradox. You guys get the point? It's a traditional paradox. It comes later on, where you're like, well, you can follow different madhahib, but when it comes to qira'at, you have to follow one. Like, why would you do that? If you can do this there, you can do that there. And this is something that's going to sit in your heads for a while, and you guys are going to be thinking about it for a while, and you guys are not going to like the fact that you have to think about this because it's going to hurt your head. This is understood classically, Rayhana. This is classical. This is the first text. There's nothing more original than Abu Bakr bin Mujahid's text. So this is where I'm going to poke your brain a little bit and poke holes in your head. Once you understand this perspective, did you guys understand this perspective? Yes or no? I don't care if you agree with it or not. That's not my job to get you to guess to agree. You guys understand it? Perfect. Good. You got this earlier. It's perfect. It's good. And I want to elaborate on this more and more and more. So that once it starts to make sense, then you can build on a lot of concepts here. So are you understanding this? So when you are studying tahrir, the objective behind studying tahrir here, hold on. Let's see if I can open it. The study of tahrir is basically like studying usul al-fiqh. That's all. Studying usul al-fiqh of all the fiqh, all the madhahib. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. So studying tahrir is like studying the usul al-fiqh of all of the madhahib, which is going to lead you towards appreciating all the other madhahib and follow your madhab. Potter, God, appreciating all the other madhahib and follow your madhab that you are comfortable with. That's all. So tahrir is equivalent to studying usul al-fiqh of all of studying. Let me write down studying here. Usul al-fiqh of all of the madhahib, appreciating all of the other madhahib and follow your madhab that you're comfortable with. What this does, it makes you level-headed and open-minded to other opinions. Why is this so important when you make level-headed? So if someone comes up and says, we don't do raful yadain, an example, we don't do raf yadain. Before, you used to think it was a bad thing, like, oh my God, there's hadith about it. But now you'll understand. But now, to you means that you get it and understand their evidences and appreciate their evidences and do what you want to do. You guys get it? You guys understand? This is what tahrir does. Let me give you an example in variant readings of the Quran. If someone, let's change all, I'm going to copy this and change it right here. Tahrir. Studying the qira'at. Let's use the word huruf here, okay? The word huruf is classical term. Of all of the, I can use madhahib. They use madhahib. Of all of the, I don't know, qurra. There you go. Which means, appreciating all of the other readings and follow your reading that you are comfortable with. It makes you level-headed and open-minded to other readings. For example, we read Maliki to you means that you get it and understand their evidences and appreciate their difference, and you do what you want to do. Does this give you guys some perspective? In life, maybe. Alrighty. This is why someone who understands this stuff, this is what makes you a scholar. Someone who just doesn't appreciate, like, so if you go to a regular masjid, you start reading and like Khalaf and Hamza and then the general public behind it, like astaghfirullah, haram, kufr, shirk, whatever they say, right? all the words, and they start throwing all the words at you, then you understand that, okay, this person doesn't appreciate, you're reading wrong, doesn't appreciate. Exactly. This is you're reaching a level of scholarship. If you understand these well. Then in 3 months, if you properly research, understand these well, and research, then in 3 months, you have 3 months, right? You can be equivalent to a mufti for qira'at. Get it? You can actually reach that equivalency. Do you guys get the point now? You'll be at that level. So if you've researched, if you've reached this far and you come to the end and you understand all of these points that I'm going to instill within you guys, and I show you guys from different tahrirs, then the way a mufti is for fiqh, you'll be at the exact same level. You'll understand what they're coming from. And you can literally build the comparison that way. You'll know what muftis are going to do. So let me I'll give you guys examples of fiqh all the time. Very simple, looking at tahrirs. An example of a tahrir is this. When you have 4 different readings, in a tahrir, they'll tell you 3 are allowed, 1 isn't allowed, even though technically all 4 should be allowed, right? That's what tahrir is, right? There's 4 possible ways to do it, but 3 are allowed, 1 isn't allowed. Why is that one way not allowed? What's the answer to that? Well, because it's not mentioned in the books, right? That's the exact same way that fiqh is going to work, in exactly that same way. That technically the Hanafi madhab should allow this. No, it's not allowed in the Hanafi madhab. Well, technically the Maliki madhab should allow it. It's not allowed in the Maliki madhab. Why isn't it allowed in the Maliki madhab? It's not found. I mean, there's no opinion like that. You might have multiple. Whoever studied fiqh, you'll understand this. Who studied fiqh, you'll be like, we have an opinion of Ahmad bin Hanbal about this and about that, but there's no opinion of Ahmad bin Hanbal about that. It's not found. There's nothing mentioned by the Hanbali fuqaha. There's nothing mentioned there. Exactly. So the question here is, actually, the reason fiqh allows differences, actually, fiqh doesn't allow. They both allow differences. But the reason why in fiqh it's more tolerated of people doing different things is because you can't really do that in qira'at or Quran. That's what they're going to do. You can't do it in qira'at or Quran because Quran is very personal. Quran is the book of Allah. Fiqh is Islam. You guys get the point now? So fiqh is Islam. So that's why when it comes to the book of Allah, we'll allow difference. And when it comes to fiqh, it's like, oh my God, you're doing it differently. Oh my God, you start going crazy. You're like, no, we can't do this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this. So you guys have to understand that people are going to go, that you're going to have to become open to understanding that if you learn the qira'at properly and get to the details and down into the, understand the variant readings, you don't have to be a master of the variant readings. Let me give you an example. Does a mufti know all of the fiqh, every single fiqh opinion of that madhab? Yes or no? No, they don't. And half the time they're sitting there and learning. Let me give you a really funny example. Yeah, people expect us to know. It's weird. I'll give you guys a really funny example. So yesterday, my daughter, she's 7 years old, okay? It was the first time she had, neck cramp where you can't move your neck side to side. First time in her life. It was so cute. But anyways, just first time. She's like, oh, I can't. And then she's sitting there like as if I don't understand children. First time she had it, so I can get the point now. It's just she was as if she was bedridden. Like she did not get out of her bed for like 12 hours. She's just stuck in her bed. I'm like, you want to get up and move around? No, I can't.
when I get up, I want to move my head, and if I move my head, it hurts. So, anyways, I went to the pharmacy, and I'm like, hey, do you have any, like, I don't even get a neck brace or something, right? I told my wife, I'm like, this is going to be a teenage years, right? I'm going to be just stuck in her bedroom the whole time. Anyways, I went to to get a neck brace. I should get out of bed. Like, it's like psychologically, you feel like you can't move your head anymore, so it feels better. So, anyways, I gave her some Motrin, and then I went to the pharmacy, and I'm like, hey, you have any sort of cream or something I could put on there? So the pharmacist should know, right? Everything. What the pharmacist did was, it says, just started writing information. And obviously, me being as nosy as I am, I'm glancing at they hide their screen from me. You ever go put a prescription in? They hide their screen. You can just see the keyboard. And all I see is Voltaren, young child, enter. And I cracked up. This is too awesome. I just cracked up. It was just, you might think it's terrible, but they all do that, right? So I'm like, dude, I could have done exactly the same thing. But anyways, then when I talked to the head pharmacist, he's like, listen, don't take any Voltaren. You don't take Voltaren. So like, but so do you guys understand? Right. So that's the point over here. Don't assume that every mufti knows everything. At the same way, don't assume that all of the Qurra be like, oh, you study the variant readings, therefore you know all of the furuj for every single madhab. Every single variant reading. Actually, no, like I still have to make reference back to the Quran, but you have the tools, don't you? You know exactly where to go, how to look, and what to do, right? And you guys always have me by your side. So if any question, just ask me. Be like, hey, how do you do this? And that's the point. That's the perspective I want you guys to get here. That's kind of what tahrir is. We gain that perspective, kind of grow into that. Yeah, I know, you would feel a little bit more better. But that's so Lisa, doesn't it make sense when you have a scholar that goes on Google and looks up some hadith on Google or some fiqh opinion on Google? Are women allowed to? You guys get the point that I'm trying to say, right? So just because a person, the objective here, if someone is, unless a PDF book, right? They should. So if you understand these concepts well, in 3 months you can be equivalent to a mufti and qira'at. But this is where it's about researching. Keep on reading it. Keep on looking at the concepts. Keep on looking at the variant tahrirat and stuff. And I think today's not the time, but maybe after a few weeks, I'm going to talk to you guys about a particular concept, and that's really bothering me in the world of variant readings now. And this is the first thing that's really bothering me, is this point over here. But the second thing that's bothering me is how there's no, how we focus on reading, mashallah, really, really good. But the focus is very, what Ibn Taymiyyah talks about, is become very focused on makharij and sifat, and we stop focusing on the bigger picture behind the readings of the Quran. Anyway, so this was just giving you an understanding of why tahrir come in. So why does tahrir come in? So the word tahrir itself means making notes, or mulahadat, or different things to keep in mind. Well, the purpose of tahrir is that you don't mix up the different readings. The purpose of tahrir would be, don't mix up the different fiqhs. In other words, don't do what the Prophet didn't do, as per what the madahib say. Or you can say what the Qurra are going to say. Don't do the readings malam yanzil, those readings that, or yunazil, those readings that haven't come down from, haven't been revealed. But now you guys understand how that whole sentence itself is completely subjective, right? When they talk about tahrir, it's that you're going to do readings that haven't been revealed. But the main thing behind tahrir, that's an easy portrayal that you're going to put in front of people. You're doing something that the Prophet didn't do. Isn't that the feeling that someone gets? What's the reason why? How many of you grew up, let's just say Hanafi, and then switched out? Oh my God, this is wrong. We need to follow this other madhab. Okay, I'm not going to forget you guys. Do you guys know many people who've done that? That you grew up following the Hanafi way because of Pakistan or India, whatever you felt, and then after a while you just kind of change. You're like, no, we're supposed to be doing Raful Yadain. Oh my God. So that's the point. You guys probably thinking about it, like, oh my God, we have to do this, you have to do this. And then eventually it's kind of switched out. You're like, oh, we have to, right? And what's the reason you switched out?
They betrayed us. You guys know all this stuff. They betrayed. Why? Because you felt that the Prophet didn't do what your madhab is telling you to do. Correct or incorrect? Not you, but the people who have switched up. The Prophet didn't do this. But if you actually study variant fiqh and evidences, you do realize that there's legitimacy in every opinion of every different fiqh, right? The Hanafis didn't get it wrong. The Malikis didn't get it wrong. The Shafi'is didn't get it wrong. The Hanbalis didn't get it wrong. How can they all be correct? Easy. You guys are colonized. You're talking out of colonialism. What did colonialism bring? Uniformity. And uniformity means everyone needs to do one thing. This happened in mindset. That's why after colonialism, they removed all of the 4 different members from the Haramain. Wasn't there 4 members in the Haramain? 1, 2, 3, 4. You need to be uniform. Have everyone do one thing. That's why when you go to abaya shops, back then, didn't you only find black abayas and white thobes? Civilization, right? Isn't that back then? You go in you go inside the shop and, yep, totally. So now it has to be one way. But if you look at the Muslims from all over the world, don't you notice that, oh my God, in Africa, they're wearing different colors. They're wearing different things. Now people are opening up to this concept. Yeah, centralization as well. And that's why Titus Burckhardt, if you guys heard of him, he has a really nice section where he says, because of colonialism and uniformity, that's why you have abayas. How many of you wear abayas and you can't roll the sleeves all the way up past your you can't roll your sleeves up past your elbows? Yeah, uniformity. We're going to create a system. We're going to make everyone follow that system. And he's like, this is the problem that caused it. And this is what happened. It was a mindset of everyone has to do things one way. He's like, the purpose of Islamic clothing should have been to help you in your prayer. But now people are wearing clothing that are so tight that they can't even do sajda properly, but they can't even sit down properly in your salawat. He's like, it shouldn't be different. He goes, like, it's a very interesting reading. I'll send it to some of you guys if you guys want, but very, very interesting. But this whole idea of uniformity, it has to be one way. One has to be one way. Remove everything that does it, and then start preaching exactly the same thing that Abu Bakr bin Mujahid is talking about over here. Over here is Abu Bakr bin Mujahid very open about following multiple? Yes or no? He's like, do what you want to do. This is the classical system, allowing it. You can do this. You can do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? Do you guys see Abu Bakr bin Mujahid's allowing variants? He's like, do it. But now in the world, isn't it a lot more different now? Are they allowing variants in the world now? Are you allowed to do things differently? No, you're not allowed. You have to follow this way. So if someone goes into a Pakistani Hanafi masjid without wearing a hat on their head, they're going to come and put a hat on your head. Or you have to do different things in a particular way. It's about creating uniformity. We need everything to be one. You see, back then you had shops that were for Muslims and non-Muslims. And you had mosques that were open to allowing non-Muslims, etc. I mean, not masjids, but different places. But you had everything that was open to Muslims and non-Muslims. And you had all of these different things that were coming into the picture to allow different things. Allowing. But then now uniformity was to create segregation. So now you have a strictly a madhab, a tablighi masjid, the Pakistani community center in Mississauga. That's really funny because there's an Arab imam and all Arabs go there. But anyways, you have like a tablighi masjid, you have a Turkish mosque, you have this mosque and that mosque, and you have we've created sectarian, started bashing the other person. We're like, no, they're wrong. I know. Started bashing the others as well. So it's what happens is now you're focusing on uniformity. Everything has to be one. And then you created a system. This is Islamic clothing. This is non-Islamic clothing. This is Islamic food or halal food. This is not halal food. But everything is all into one. And at the same time, then and when you create a halal meat shop, then someone who says, you have people who are like, you go eat chicken from anywhere. You make them feel bad when they don't come to your meat shop. How can you go to the other meat shop when we have the halal meat shop? And what we do is it's a system that we've created of uniformity. It has to be uniform. It has to be one way. And when we create this uniformity, then this is where you start to say, we're the best, everyone else is bad. Look at the creation of Zionism. Go ahead, read up on it. Anyone ever read on it? The Zionist movement? And then when you read up on it, you'll start to realize that, oh my God, Muslims and Jews were so close in the history of Islam. Did you guys know that? Who protected the Jews? The Muslims did. Who protected the Muslims? The Jews did. Who was Salahuddin Ayyubi's physician? It was Maimonides, the Jewish alim scholar who wrote the books. They were all the same. They were together. Why were they together? They're like, oh, you believe in Tawheed? Oh my God, we believe in Tawheed. You guys believe same Tawheed as us? Oh my God, together, let's go bash the Christians, those idol worshippers. That was the mindset. Oh, like, you guys believe in maghfirah? We believe in maghfirah. You guys believe in prayer, putting your knees on your hands and putting your face down on the ground? We do that as well. You guys believe in fasting on Yom Kippur? Oh, wow, we do that as well. But we fast in the month of Ramadan, which originally was the fast on Yom Kippur, wasn't it? Then the Prophet fast the day that the Jews were fasting? Yeah, he was, yeah. It's so cool. Then the Prophet come to Medina and he's like, we're going to fast. Allah said, fast what the Jews are fasting, and then changed it, right? Ashura. What days did the Jews fast? What I'm trying to say is it was so open. Now it's closing up. And alhamdulillah, now we people are getting more and more into understanding. But unfortunately, when people are getting more into understanding, now you have those people, let's go back to the first page here, who don't know any variant readings, which we'll call the fifth category over here, don't know anything on readings, and we'll just add a fifth category here as well, because why not? Don't know any fiqh, becoming. Can you guys complete the sentence here? Becoming. Come on. The spokesperson for the science, for fiqh. And don't know anything on readings, becoming the spokesperson for readings. And this is what's happening now in the world. This is who are the ones dictating fiqh now? These people. Who are the ones dictating qira'at? These people. Isn't it true when you have persons like, I'm not gonna take any name, but you have random people come online and they become experts on qira'at and they're talking and causing doubts into the minds of people. The question, and I always ask the question, I've said this many times, have they studied qira'at? Because honestly speaking here, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Over the last year, 2 years, there's this huge movement that came out about qira'at and this and that, and they were like, yeah, this, all kinds of weird stuff that was going on. They're becoming the spokesperson. That's a question, whoever was approaching me and talking about, that was a simple question. I'm like, did they study qira'at? I don't know. No, they didn't study qira'at. Because if you've studied qira'at, we don't need to cover it, but Hafs is the only valid recitation or whatever. Have they studied qira'at? If they haven't studied qira'at, they have no perspective. They have no perspective. And when they have no perspective, they're not scholars. So therefore, we shouldn't take from it. But does the general public know this? No. The general public doesn't know this. So the general public's going to jump on board and make them into the scholars. I'll be like, no, they're the ones who said this. The scholar said this. This person gives lectures like this. No, they haven't studied it. And if there's someone that we need to go and properly eliminate, is these people, the people number 5. Remove them, get out of it. Take them out. Be like, they don't know what they're talking about. Because someone who knows the science, the point over here, is it on this page or the previous page? This point over here, we don't do Raf'ul Yadayn, we read Maliki, we understand their evidence and we understand where they're coming from. This will start to make sense. For these people, it doesn't make any sense. They're going to change it up. And that's where all of you are going to become scholars of Qira'at, inshallah. Like I said, if you guys do this, you'll become scholars of Qira'at. And when you become a scholar of Qira'at, this is where you are going to be the ones deciphering this. You're going to say, no, we don't, let's not question this. Why are we not questioning it? Because you, dear person, are so weak in your knowledge, you will never understand it. Explain it to us. You know what? It took me 2-3 years to go through all of these, to go through all of this. I cannot explain 2-3 years of studies into one day. I can't even explain it in 2 days. You're going to need to study 2-3 years. Come and sit down and study with us. It's not a Sufi thing that I'm saying. Not like, oh yeah, once you experience it, then you'll feel it. No, we're not talking about that. I'm legit talking about go and study it. When you study it, it'll make sense to you. No, you explain it to me. I cannot explain it to you. That's why scholars are not the ones who talk, blah, blah, blah. Scholars are the ones who keep their mouths shut. We don't talk. Why don't we talk? Because you ain't going to get it. It took us so many years to get to this. Think about all of the studies that you guys did. From beginning of Kubra, all of those studying and exam and studying, you came this far. How much do you guys know? You guys know how much more there is, but the point is you do know way more than them. The difference you're going to find is someone like me. If you compare, listen carefully, if you compare who is the one who sounds like someone who's actually perhaps even rejecting the qira'at? Who? Me, right? Does it sound like it? Well, I'm really putting the perspective value. But am I accepting the qira'at? Yes, I am. And I'm saying, and I'm myself saying, I'm going to read it this way. Who are the ones who are rejecting hadith? Were they the hadith rejectors of 2020? No. It was the hadith scholars. Weren't the hadith scholars the ones who rejected hadith the most? They're like, we don't take this. Nope, we're not going to take it. They rejected more hadith than took hadith. Isn't that, am I right or wrong? Who are the ones who rejected most fiqh? It was the fuqaha. Isn't that true? Think about it. The fuqaha are the ones, they rejected everything. They're like, remove. No, that's not it. It doesn't fit. They're the biggest rejectors. It's not the people of the 21st century. Do you honestly think people who are talking now in the 21st century on social media, do you think you guys actually think you're rejecting variant readings? Dude, you guys are amateurs when it comes to rejection. Y'all don't know how to reject. I will teach you how to reject, and you're going to be afraid. And that's the comment that I got. I got this comment many times. Alhamdulillah, as a scholar of the variant reading, I've studied from so many scholars. I've scholar variant readings. One person came to me who is very popular in the world, and he says, you know, like I sat in 1 or 2 of your classes, very, very famous scholar. He sat in some critical law. He said 1 or 2 of classes. How come you teach tajweed and teach qira'at when it clearly seems like you're bashing it? I'm like, see, you're asking me after 2 classes. Ask me after studying 2 years. You're going to have a different perspective. You will. You're going to gain a totally different perspective. You're going to appreciate it. You're going to appreciate what you have. What did Imam Shatibi say? What did Imam Shatibi say today? Hold on. I'm just going to pull it up right now. I was teaching this in the Aqidah class. Give me a second here. Imam Shatibi says this. Where is it? Is this it? Yeah, you guys can see that. Ya malja al fuqara wal aghniya. Look at what Imam Shatibi says. إلا تقذي فلا تقذي مشاربها لا تنزرن نزورا أو ترى غزرا. ألا تقذي. It's basically saying if the well doesn't have any dirt in it, don't put any dirt in it. Don't blame the cow that has less milk if you don't have a cow that has more milk. That's what Imam Shatibi is saying. What I'm trying to say over here is, you people. So again, let me translate it. Don't make dirty that which isn't dirty. If something's not dirty, don't make it dirty. لا تنزرن نزورا. Don't humiliate the cow that has less milk or the camel that has less milk if you don't have an alternative camel with more milk. You get it? It's like all you have is this. All you have is a camel with less milk. Don't put that camel down. What I'm trying to say over here is the following. If you are at this level, the people at this level, if something, these scholars over the years and centuries from beginning of time purified it, they made it so beautiful, didn't they? The Hanafi madhab is so beautiful. The Shafi'i madhab is so beautiful. The Maliki madhab is so beautiful. The Hanbali madhab, everything is so perfect and beautiful. So it takes years for something to be considered awesome, right? It's cleaning it out, cleaning it out, fixing it up. It's been made beautiful for the longest time. The variant reading is so beautiful. So don't come and put dirt in it where there is no dirt. That's what these people are doing. Don't come and put dirt in it where there is no dirt. You get the point? أَلَّا تُقَذِّي فَلَا تَقْذِي مَشَارِبَهَا. Don't put dirt in something that there is no dirt in already. It's been cleaned out. Similarly, لَا تَنْزُرَنَّ نَزُورًا أَوْ تَرَى غُزُرًا. Don't humiliate the camel with less milk if you don't have a camel with more milk. In other words, don't put down the science of this, or don't come up with your own things if you have no background. Don't put down the variant readings and all of this stuff. Don't put it down if you don't have an alternative. Because what's going to happen? You're going to leave people with nothing. And that's kind of how people were feeling after the whole discussion that they had. These people had. Am I right or wrong? Isn't that what happened? Especially the students who had messaged me. Appreciate whatever's remaining. Oh, we should have had more. There's some that was lost. Okay, cool. Good for you. But don't put down what we already have, because what we have is clean. Number one, don't put dirt in it. And number two, don't just mess around with it. But now you're putting doubts in the minds of the people. Oh, all of the variant readings are based on ijtihad. Because if honestly, and I'll finish with this, honestly, if you want to bash qira'at, there's 52 students in the class. They'll do a way better job than you guys can ever bash it. Am I right or wrong? There's 52 of you in the class. Every single one of you would bash it way better than anyone can even attempt to bash it. Bring it to me. I will spin you around your fingers and prove to you how everything is false. If that's what you want. Exactly. I'll prove it to you. Once you guys understand this perspective here, remember the next 3 months, we're going to get a little bit into the history of it. But this today's class is so important for you guys to build on and to understand the perspective here. And that's why tahrir is taught. Is tahrir a bad thing? For these people, it's a bad thing. For these people, it's a bad thing. But for these people, it's a good thing, because you understand two things here. What are the two things that you understand? I'll finish with this. You'll understand two things. There are two types of people in the world. Two typos. I got too many of those. Who cares if they take your perspective or not? In the world. Number one, this is from the Quran. Who are the two types of people in the world? Those who know and those who don't know. That's how it is. Those who know and those who don't know. Those who know will value what they have. Those who don't know will not value it. قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Two types of people in the world. Those who know and those who don't know. Those who know value the smallest thing. Those who don't value anything. That's how that's the reality of it. And that's why I've said, never ever bash the tradition. Critique it. I critique the tradition like it's no one's business. You've probably heard me critiquing it like you're like, oh my God, don't. Critique the tradition all you want. Don't bash it. Don't bash it. You have people come out, they're like, oh, this scholar said this, or that scholar said that. Let everyone say whatever they want to say. Honestly, it doesn't matter to you. But you need to become a scholar yourself. And to become a scholar, you need to gain perspective. And in order to gain perspective, you're going to have to start to decipher and start to learn different things. And that's why it's important that you understand what a tahrir is and why a tahrir is important. Why a tahrir is important. Of course, the words that the different qurra, can you guys hear me? Oh, there's an extra voice here. Okay, perfect. The words that the different qurra use, I completely disagree with. Like, for example, I was like, oh, we're going to teach you tahrir so we can teach you the way the Prophet recited. That's actually not very legitimate, okay? That's a different story altogether, okay? We're not going to talk about that. But this concept of mixing variant readings, that's, that shouldn't happen. And you can understand fiqh from the same point of view. So if you have someone who studied the various fiqh, and like I'll give you an example. Samir in class, remember I said, do you follow a madhab? You said yes. And then I said, do you not follow a madhab? And you said yes. You said yes to both. And that's a difference of someone who knows. If someone who knows versus the amount of people in the world who are like, we don't follow a madhab. Listen, do you know anything about madhahib? Or you just hate it because someone else was doing something differently than you? You guys get the point now? If you haven't studied the variant madhahib and their usul, you legit have no right to hate on a madhab. You can do whatever you want. We can care less. I'm not hating on madhabs. You guys get it? That's the point I'm trying to make. If you haven't studied the variant, because now what happens, you become number 5. You legit are number 5. Don't know any fiqh, becomes a spokesperson of fiqh. That's what you are. Well, we shouldn't follow any madhab. Why? Because the Prophet the Prophet didn't follow a madhab. Okay, the Prophet wasn't Sunni or Shia either. You guys get the point? Was the Prophet Sunni or Shia? No, it wasn't. This is a political movement that started later on. Gain perspective. Keep growing on this. Don't become a spokesperson of fiqh if you haven't done all of those. There's a progression here. 4, 3, 2, 1. Get to number 1. Also end up becoming another madhab. You can do whatever you want, but then you need to have some legitimacy. Someone who's at number 1, is it permissible for them to make up their own madhab? Of course it is. Sure, knock yourself out. I would agree. If someone who's number 1, can they come up with their own madhab? I would be like, dude, you should. Right? Come on, people. If someone's at number 1, they know inside out, they know everything. They can come up with their own thing. Completely knock yourself out. I'm on board. I'll join you if you want, right? But everyone feels like they're number 1. Isn't that true? Isn't it true? Everyone feels like they're number 1. So now when everyone feels that they're number 1, that's why it's really wise that the scholars are like, dude, no, you can't make anything up. Sorry. But if you legit feel that you can come up with your own idea, your brain will tell you that. But nowadays, 99.9, actually more, this is high, 99.99999% of people are 2, 3, and 4. You find 0.0000001% of people are here. Same thing with Qurra 1, 0.00001. So you have a long way to go. Y'all got a long way to go. All right, that's it for today. We're gonna next week there is no class because again I'm to do ijtihad if you know all the sides. Exactly. If you know all the sides and do ijtihad for every single side. Defend all of the different opinions. Start learning to do that and come up with your own. We're going to talk about let's see here. In Jamalul Quran by Sakhawi, student of Shatibi, he says, Inna خلط هذه القراءات بعضها ببعض خطأ. Mixing the variant readings one with another is a mistake. And Qastalani in لطائف الإشارات says يجب على القارئ الاحتراز من التركيب في الطرق وتميز بعضها من بعض وإلا وقع فيما لا يجوز وقراءة ما لم ينزل. Like I said, I have a difference of opinion when they say قراءة ما لم ينزل. That's a different story. But he says it is compulsory on the reciter of the Quran to stay away from tarkib. Tarkib means mixing variant readings. So like you do sila with tul, like you can't do that. What hasn't been mentioned in books. And you have to be able to differentiate one from the other. Otherwise, you're going to end up in doing a recitation that's not permissible and not allowed. And Sheikh Mustafa Azmiri, he says, التركيب حرام في القراءة على سبيل الرواية ومكروه كراهة تحريم على ما حققه أهل الدراية. Doing tarkib, meaning mixing up, is haram in the variant readings, and it's like ala sabili riwaya in regards to the recitation, and in regards to understanding, it's makruh tahrimi. I'm sorry, it's makruh tahrimi, like basically it's undesirable at the level of haram, and this is what we understood from the scholars. So by understanding tahrir, you'll understand where the mistakes can happen, where mistakes are not going to happen, where people are doing this, where people are not doing that. And the objective behind this is يأخذ الآخر عن الأول, that a person who comes later takes from the people that come before. We'll talk about the variant tahrir. There's two types of tahrirs we're going to cover. We're going to cover the tahrir of usul and the tahrir of furush. Not usul and furush. We're going to cover two types of tahrir. Two types of tahrir we're going to cover. Number one, we're going to cover the tahrir of usul. And number two, tahrir of reading. In Arabic, ijra. Tahrir of ijra, or tahrir of reading. So tahrir of usul basically means you have, like we covered one tahrir of usul. If you have idgham kabir with mad munfasal, there's 4 possible ways to read it, out of which 3 are not allowed. Tahrir of reading happens, so tahrir of usul is more combinations within rules. And tahrir of ijra happens when various rules get together in one reading. Creating multiple scenarios. Let me give you a quick example of tahrir of usul. Tahrir of usul, a quick example of tahrir of usul would be like idgham kabir versus what? Versus munfasal. Right? You guys understand this? Idgham kabir versus munfasal. This is a typical tahrir of usul right there. If this happens, if you get these two together, then do A, B, C, D, and out of which A is not allowed, B, C, D is allowed. Click 1 if that makes sense. Tahrir of reading ijra is a little bit more different, because in one verse for one imam, you can have many rules, many variants, which we refer to khulf. You're going to have many variants or khulf all coming together. Many khulfs all coming together. So it will automatically create more scenarios than in usul. Okay, more scenarios than in usul. So that's why it's like tahrir of usul will just be, if these 2 rules come together, do this. Tahrir of furush, tahrir of ijra is more like, in this ayah here, there's 5 random rules of this imam. So go to the usul, look at the tahrir and the usul, and apply that within the ijra, and then eliminate readings that way. you'll understand when we go through them starting the week after next week. If you go through at least 57 tahrir of reading, or we go through at least 18 tahrir of usul, you'd have the whole Quran in front of you. You can literally see all of them. You write this down as notes though. So these tahrir of usul, these tahrir of usul and reading, you'll write them down as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, cool. That's it. Let's see here. Before you guys go, I'm going to just copy this stuff down here. Copy. So I'm going to put whoever wants to leave can leave. I'll put all of these notes in Slack right now, okay, in the Department of Qira'at, so you guys can see it over there. Cool. Department of Qira'at. I'm just putting all of these notes there. What happened there? What? Copy. Can I copy it? Copy. Okay. That's notes 1. Oopsies. Copy. The notes for this probably go up tonight sometime. That's notes 2. I'm just putting all the notes there because I know you guys probably want these notes. Copy. Notes 3. Copy. Oops. Are you guys able to see it there? Whoever's hasn't left yet. 4. Yeah. Okay. Good. Perfect. And that's 5. Finally, 6. All right. Good. Y'all can leave. See you guys later. There's no reading today. We'll do after next week. Okay. Subhanallah bihamdi, subhanakallahumma bihamdik, wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Right. Assalamu alaikum.